Hey guys, greetings and salutations. This is James here at Unique Perspectives. I actually wanted to make a video really just talking about 10 areas or 10 experiences that a lot of men have with some women when it comes to dating. Experiences that are not all that healthy and can be very hurtful that causes men to change. You know, there are a lot of us men that we grow up thinking that everything's going to be ideal in life when it comes to finding a lady. We'll find a nice, pretty lady, somebody that's going to be loyal to us, who loves us. There are a lot of men that they experience, a lot of rejection. They have difficulties with that, and they just check out. You know, I have actually friends that have checked out. They're not getting married. They're not interested. They just don't believe in the institute of marriage. Now, of course, as a Christian, I believe in it because God believes in it. God established it. But there are a lot of men, like I said, that they just are not very fond of the concept of the relationship. And so a lot of men go through difficulties. Sometimes they even date or even marry women, and perhaps they chose the wrong person, but they go through difficulties that have scarred them and even traumatized them to rethink how they approach women in the future. And so I just want to talk about some of my personal experiences, and I'm not making this so I can attack women. I don't believe every woman is the enemy, like I know the red pill philosophy would teach, and MGTOW and other groups. I think sometimes they can have little nuggets of truth, but for the most part, as a Christian, I have to establish myself as someone who operates from a biblical worldview. So I'm going to go through these 10 areas or 10 experiences that a lot of guys experience. And gentlemen, I would love to hear your comments about some of this stuff. Maybe you experienced one or two of these, maybe all of them. I'm hoping not all of them, but these are some experiences that I drew from my own experiences that actually changed me and made me a lot more guarded when it comes to dealing with women in general. So I'm just going to start, and here we go. I would say the first point would be you don't get the same treatment and you don't get the same opportunities as her exes did. Unfortunately, there are a lot of men that have sometimes used women, abused women, and the women were going out of their way to love a man, to accommodate a man. But because perhaps those ladies went through negative experiences moving forward when they've decided to be with a gentleman, maybe us, we don't get the same treatment. So the woman is not putting in a lot of effort in the relationship. She's almost doing the basics while the guy is the one doing all of the work. For any relationship to work, we need both people to be on board, not one person doing all the work. There are a lot of different dating coaches that say it's better for the woman to be more into the man, and then some female coaches would probably say the opposite. Personally, like I said, as a Christian, I think the best opportunity for a healthy relationship to arise is for both the man and the woman to work together and work out the relationship together. There has to be a mutual understanding. There has to be a mutual connection, and it just doesn't work when both people are not operating at full capacity together to make something work. But there are a lot of guys, including myself, that by the time I met someone, they were already bitter. They've already decided to adopt some destructive, toxic traits. I was feeling the repercussions of those questionable practices because the woman felt like, well, she's not going to put that effort in anymore. And now me, being somebody who is completely innocent coming into the situation, now I'm going to feel the butt of that. So that's something that I really want to just address. And, sometimes what you can do is you can find out as you're talking to your partner that they actually went out of their way to do certain things. And you'll realize that, well, why aren't they doing those things for me? That's one thing that can be a little difficult for a lot of men to process. I'm one of those guys where, I'm listening to a woman talk about their ex and what they did and how they contributed towards the relationship and realize that I'm not reaping those benefits. I'm not receiving that sort of treatment, which isn't fair, So of course this would cause men to be bitter as well, because it's like, hey, why was he able to get that special treatment and not me? Number two, I would say, is that you are replaceable for most women. You are replaceable. I know that there is debate regarding which men are able to attract more women and which women are able to attract more men, but there's just this understanding, obviously, that if you go on a dating website and you create a typical looking lady and a typical looking man, there's been all sorts of people making experiments on YouTube demonstrating that just about in every case, even if the woman is obese, she's going to get a lot more responses. Most dating sites are filled with more men than women. And even when it comes to just ladies walking out and about, there are more women that are going to be approached by men than men approached by women. Now, there are men that are approached a lot if they have certain unique traits and features. Maybe they're rich, maybe they're tall, maybe they have a certain look that is universally attractive to most women. women, but the average guy doesn't have that. The average guy does not have the ideal body. He does not have, he's not 6 foot. You know, I think only, if I am correct, statistically, only about 14% of the population of men in the West is 6 foot or above, and that's not a lot. And so there are a lot of women, not all, but there are a lot of women that have this mindset that they have to have one of those guys, and they're very rare. My point is that for the average woman, they are getting guys coming after them, even up to the age of, 40 and 50, whether they're like 16 to like 40, 50, maybe even 60 of their age. There's always guys approaching them if they look well, if they look pretty good. Even if they don't look good, there's still guys asking for them. But for your typical guy, our world doesn't operate that way. And most of you who are probably watching this video, you know exactly what I'm talking about. For a lot of us, it's going to be lonely nights. It's going to be you by yourself going to that movie theater. It's going to be you by yourself trying to deal with that rejection. It's going to be you trying to process what do you need to work on and all this other stuff. And I would say, I have a lot to say about the dating world in the West from what I've experienced, so I'm not going to go in a tangent, but yeah, it's basic biology. We know that women are designed to attract. And like I said, even the obese women are getting guys that are trying to connect with versus the average guy who might be obese, or he's just a typical guy. Doesn't even have to be overweight. That's not happening for him. There are a lot of guys that are just not being even considered. This is partially why I believe the rate of men offing themselves is 3 to 4 times higher. There are a lot of guys that are lonely and they don't have the same support as your typical woman. But you are replaceable. There's always a guy that's always kind of close by, and that kind of goes into my next point. And number 3 is that your replacement is probably close by. Meaning if you are dating someone and you guys are working together in a relationship, you guys are connecting, you guys are dating, even if you're married, there is a big chance that the lady has access to not only a man, but men that are interested in her right now. And they will be more than happy to take her off your hands. And there are ladies that will always keep that open connection and that open communication open for these admirers, just in case, just to have a backup plan. Some people disguise themselves as friends and they pretend that they're just a buddy. And the next thing you know, maybe you guys are going through a rough patch. Maybe you guys break up or even break up temporarily, and she's already dealing with that other person. And it's not coincidence. She's already had his number. She's already been talking to him, chatting with him, reaching out to him, keeping an open communication, or entertaining his responses to her. And so, yeah, that something happens to you, she's already ready. I've watched it happen multiple times in my case, to be honest with you. There has always been a guy on the side that a woman was entertaining. And as soon as she decided to stop connecting with me, she already had somebody lined up. Some guys are like that, but most guys, that's not their story. They don't even have an opportunity for something like that. Not that I'm saying, we need to do that. I think it's counterproductive to always be waiting and strategically thinking of the next plan instead of focusing your energy on your relationship. I think that's the best approach, is focus on your relationship and put everything you have in the relationship so it can work. But I think it's sick, whether it's a man or a woman in a relationship, whether it's dating, whether it's their engagement, whether it's marriage, and they're already thinking about, plan B of, hey, if this don't work out, I'll just hop over there. That's not cool. But maybe it's a mating strategy for some women. Maybe it's a biological thing. I don't know. I would like to think that not every woman operates this way. So, I'm not going to say every woman. Obviously, a lot of us that experience it, and I've experienced it multiple times, actually. I remember my very first relationship, beautiful lady. I was in my mid-20s and so was she. So, mid-20s, she was in her physical prime. Everyone was going after her. Everyone just thought she was just very attractive, both men and women. And I remember she used to talk about this guy, Alex, all the time in the background. Oh, that's my friend Alex. Oh, that's just Alex. And because I was very insecure at the time, I didn't want to challenge her regarding this friend. And, I was uncomfortable with this guy. One time she had to get picked up and I wasn't available. So she called Alex and he came, and it just made me feel uncomfortable. But as soon as we broke up, she was dating Alex. And it just showed me that he was just waiting. He was waiting his turn. And so I don't trust any woman that has relationships with male friends. Personally, I don't at all. Unless the guy is homosexual and I can see clearly through his actions and his behavior that he's homosexual or something. But other than a straight guy, I wouldn't trust that. And I would like to think a woman that is responsible, that loves her guy that she's with, she's not going to jeopardize the relationship. So that's number 3. Just be careful careful, gentlemen, because sometimes your replacement is very close by. Number 4 is you are the meal ticket. I'm pretty sure just about every guy that's watching this has been in this position, but you have situations where you're taking out a lady, and in some cases, maybe she is genuinely trying to connect with you and try to understand who you are, but you're the one paying for the date. You're the one paying for the meal. You're the one paying for the movie. You're the one paying for all these things. And there are some ladies that genuinely are trying to connect with you. They're trying to get a feel for your personality and actually date you. And then you have some ladies that they know darn well they're not going to be dating you. They're definitely not going to marry you, but you are a meal ticket. They're having fun with you, and you are the free lunch. You're the free dinner. You are the lobster guy that they can go buy lobster. They can go get their martinis or their adios or their drinks. You're that guy. You're the food guy. You're the guy that entertains them. I've been used by multiple people, unfortunately, in this situation. Theme parks, nice restaurants, you name it. And some guys, that's our position. The woman is not thinking about dating us at all. It's not even something she has entertained. We are here to entertain the woman. We are here to make sure that she's having fun. And when she's ready to settle down with somebody, it won't be us. So there are a lot of guys, I'm sure some of you can relate to this, especially what happens is after you experience these relationships, and maybe if you keep in touch with them or you watch them on social media, or maybe you're talking to them in the later on, you start putting the pieces together like, oh, this person actually was never interested at all. They never actually entertained the idea of being with me, but my role was just to entertain them and spend money. And I think that there are a lot of women that unfortunately they fall into this category because it's like a learned behavior. It's almost like, hey, that's the guy's role. And again, it's one thing when a man is fitting the bill for the outings because you guys are actually moving towards something, actually getting to know each other. There's a purpose towards why you guys are doing this, but there's something entirely different when the intention is never to connect with the guy. And just as long as he opens his wallet, he's okay and you'll tolerate it. So just be careful, guys. There are a lot of women that do this. Sometimes you won't even know it. You're just a food guy. In fact, there's articles and there's even ladies online that have gloated with the fact that they were so proud that they didn't even have to buy groceries for more than 2 years because they just set up enough dates so guys will just feed them every single day. Every day. They'll just have a number of guys that they have lined up so they will eat good every day because they're just goofing off, and they're playing around with men's time. And some of these things are, like I said, this causes men to want to check out and not even apply to dating at all because, especially when you hear other men going through the same thing, it makes it seem very bleak. Like, what are the chances of some of us actually finding someone of quality, So again, I'm not making this to feel bad and all that, but I think we need to talk about this stuff, and just at least have this flushed out in the open. And maybe some ladies will take notice as well and say, hey, let me make sure I don't do some of this stuff. Number 5 is, she's disloyal. She is willing to cheat. I think this is one of the main areas that really causes a lot of guys to change. When you learn that the woman is not really into you, but she's willing to jump to the next relationship if she feels that the guy has more going on than you. And, there's some of us that, we take a little longer to get to a certain place in our lives, whether it's maturity level or even just hit our stride. It can be very difficult to understand why a woman has left us and abandoned us or decided to walk away. We're thinking like, hey, I treated her good. I tried to pick her up from work when I could. I tried to help her when she needed help and she called me. She needed someone reliable. I fed her all this time. I made sure that I catered to her. Like, what happened? And so there are a lot of men, of course, that, I talk to all the time, and I've experienced some of these situations that even caused me to question, well, should I just check out as well and just leave the dating stuff alone? Is there a platform or is there opportunity for men that actually want to be with just one person and be loyal and be faithful and just be with one person? And that's it. No games, no gimmicks, no nothing. But there are some women, and again, not all, that for them it's a game. In fact, I would say my very first relationship, it was more of a sport to her. She enjoyed being given a lot of gifts, a lot of attention from different types of guys, and I was just one of many of the guys that she was entertaining. It was very difficult afterwards to reflect on this and realize that I was just like a pawn, a part of this whole thing. So this is, of course, why I've learned to be a lot more careful with my time and my money. Even how far I'm going to drive, I'm very careful and I'm very cautious with those things. In fact, there are a lot of men that I will drive a lot further for them because, we're friends and I trust them and, I know that my time's not going to be wasted. Versus a woman, it's like, hey, I'll meet you halfway just in case, I don't want to have to wasting my time, when, I could just be another goofball that you're about to use. But there are ladies, like I said, that they have no intention of being loyal to you, even if they're dating you, it's just for a season. It's just for a moment. I had a situation some years ago where, a lady I was interested in actually took interest in a buddy of mine, which completely caught me off guard, and I thought it was very inappropriate. I try not to think of her as a bad person because of that situation, because, I knew a lot more about her history and stuff like that, so it kind of, I understood to some extent why that took place. But I think that sort of thing can really damage a guy when you have a buddy that is willing to try to connect with somebody that you are connecting with, and he's even entertaining it, and our relationship, to be honest with you, doesn't really exist anymore, And it's interesting because after this situation took place, we had a nice long 2-hour discussion in his house about the situation, and no more than maybe 7-8 months later, when the lady moved into her own place, he was one of the first guests that she had. So he didn't learn anything, and he showed me that he did not respect those boundaries at all. And I just thought it was good to be aware, and I'm glad this is happening now. It was unfortunate. It was like more than 10 years out in our relationship that he revealed this, but I'm glad it happened. And again, these are some of the reasons why some of us are a lot more guarded, because we experience these things, and not too many people seem too interested in our psyche and our mind and how we are processing these things. Because when you're a man, the idea is, hey, you're a man, figure it out. You're a man, don't cry. You're a man, go forward. Get up, just move forward, get back to work. There are a lot of us that, that really changes us, because we realize that if we don't protect ourselves, then we'll just be somebody's punching bag, Number 6 is she's way too comfortable being around men. And what I mean by that is there are a lot of women that are conservative. They are more traditional. They understand that they cannot be alone with just any guy. They understand that they cannot entertain the idea of connecting with just any guy. They know that when they broke up with somebody officially that they were dating, that relationship ended for a reason, and so they will sever ties with that person, not out of being mean, not because they're angry, but they understand that season in their life has ended. They also know that if men want to sleep with them, or men are attracted to them, they will perhaps select one guy that they want to be with, or possibly want to be with, and they will date that guy. They will allow themselves to give that man access to them so they can go on a series of dates. But they don't go around and disperse their time between all the guys that could possibly be in their life. They make themselves available just to one man, and they're very careful and very cautious with how they conduct themselves as women. There are a lot of situations in which I have met a woman, I've thought about trying to date them, and they're saying, sure, we can try to connect, and then they're trying to introduce me to all of their friends, and just about every male friend that they have is either someone they have slept with or wants to sleep with them. I'm like, come on. Are you serious? I don't think any man with any type of self-respect or dignity wants that type of scenario. And I think there are a lot of women in our modern day that they're comfortable living like that. And again, there are a lot of, like I said, more traditional conservative women. They would never entertain that. Never. I also have issues with ladies dressing provocatively, and they're around too many men. And it's like, a woman knows that men, desire sex, sexual intimacy. Men like more skin. And there are women that will have their cleavage out, short skirts, or maybe wearing very tight outfits, revealing their spandex or whatever, wearing stuff that, in my opinion, is inappropriate, because you have a number of men around, and we are very visual. We are constantly looking at women. And so, there's a lot of biblical references to women being responsible with their attire, knowing that you don't want to tempt, the brothers in the church, but also we would know that applies to just being out in public. And so it's just important that, when a woman, again, is being responsible with herself, she is not making herself available to everyone. And this says a lot about a woman, this says a lot about a woman when she's entertaining multiple men. There are some ladies that say, hey, I just don't get along with women. To me, that's crap. I don't buy it. I feel like if you want attention from men, if you like the idea of people drooling over you and want to sleep with you, just say that. Just say that, but don't make any excuses for it. Just say, hey, maybe I had issues with my father, or I have father issues, and now I'm trying to compensate for, male attention or something. I would respect that. I could respect that. But I don't think any man with any self-respect wants to be in a position where they're trying to connect with a woman, or even observing a woman's lifestyle, and they're okay with her parading herself and around all sorts of men that want to sleep with her or potentially want to sleep with her. Number 7 is the friend zone. I feel like this is, there's a lot to say with this one point, so I'm going to try to keep it simple. But yeah, the idea is that the woman is fully aware that you are attracted to her, but she will keep you on a short leash so you don't go too far. But she doesn't want you for herself. She knows that you're a pretty safe guy to be with. So she knows that if, she needs help with her car, maybe moving or whatever, she knows she can call you. She knows that she can trust you. Maybe, like I said, some type of utilities or something. the idea is that you are a safe guy. You're one of those guys that you're not necessarily displaying a character that is a leader, but you're more of a follower. And if she really puts her foot down, you will just abide by her guidelines and her rules. And this is just one little thing I want to say, gentlemen, is that there's this natural tendency for a lot of us to want to accommodate the woman that we are very attracted to. Even if she's not our girlfriend, but we want her to be our girlfriend and potentially our wife. There's this natural thing that a lot of us guys do, that we think if we just agree blindly with a woman that we like, she's going to just notice us and she's going to fall in love. And I just want to tell you that women appreciate a man that is a leader, a man that does what he wants to do. And he's very clear about that. And also a man that can walk away and say, if I don't like this, I'm leaving, and you do whatever you want to do, but I'm leaving. There are women that appreciate that. It definitely emits leadership. Also a protector. It shows that you're a protector. You're not somebody that's easily persuaded by her or anyone. You have to think on your own and say, okay, I agree with this or I don't agree with this, but you're showing that you're not somebody that's a pushover. You don't let people tell you what you're going to do. You decide what you're going to do, and then you do it. And it's as simple as that. And so there may be some ladies that give you a hard time about that, but every single woman wants a man that is a man's man, someone that knows how to take care of himself, a man that can be responsible, a man that is going to protect them, because you're going to show that you can potentially protect the family if you guys connect together. But I just want to remind you guys, do not turn into the yes man, because that's the friend zone is the only place for you. Sometimes there are some guys that managed to get out of the friend zone. With my very first relationship, I actually managed to get out of it, but it wasn't as much of a reward because the lady was not all together. I'm gonna say mentally, I don't want to insult her, but yeah, she was still young as well, and there were a lot of things that she was doing, and I'll just leave it at that. But there's a reason why a lot of guys get friend zone, and it's just you are a nice guy, you're very sweet, you're very accommodating, and that's not necessarily what every woman desires. I would argue that most women are designed by God to want to be in their feminine, and they don't want to be with a guy that's in his feminine. They want a man that is using that masculine nature to control his life, to make decisions for himself and decisions potentially for the relationship, and just demonstrate that you're responsible. And so it's really important that you understand that, because that's something that I'm learning in this season, is women will definitely notice you when you are showing a masculine nature. It's universally attractive to every woman. It's universally attractive. Another area I would say that really causes men to be a lot more protective over themselves is women that are constantly going back and forth, entertaining you and entertaining other people. They're in your life, they want to date you, you guys date, but now she decides, well, now it looks like it's more promising over there, so I'm going to jump over there and I'm going to be with this person, but I'm going to try to reconnect with you and try to be with you. And that, if anything, out of everything on this list, this is one of the things that really hardens the heart of most guys. In fact, most of the guys that I know that we would consider a player or he's the guy that's a womanizer, they were victim to this a lot, and they just kind of cracked and they couldn't handle it anymore. Now, I'm not justifying that behavior. Again, as a Christian man, I believe we all should treat every man and woman with respect and dignity. We're all made in the image of God. We have value and worth because of that. But not every man is built the same. Some guys are not as resilient, and they will turn into monsters. And these are the guys that they will have their fun with a woman. They will even pretend that they're trying to marry the woman, and they will mislead the woman and use her and abuse her and enjoy her every which way. And then when they're done, they'll wipe the floor with her, and they're ready to go and jump to the next person. And unfortunately, sometimes they are the ones that are going back and forth and re-entering the woman's life. And she's thinking, oh, hey, this time this person's going to be really into me and we're going to be together finally. And it's like, no, I just wanted to have access to you and have fun. And but she's trapped in this cycle. And I've known women that were trapped in this cycle for more than 10, 15, 20 years, so it's, but it's definitely something to be aware of. But this can really take a toll on guys. In fact, I've had this happen to me maybe just once or twice in my life. And even those little situations were a little bit, it was negative to me, because I'm thinking like, why walk away when, I was already here to begin with. I distinctively remember one lady telling me how much she didn't have feelings for me anymore, and I'm thinking, hey, what happened? What's going on? And she kept telling me about this guy that she was working with, and next thing I knew, she started being with this guy for years, and for years and years upon years, and then later on, she's coming to me in secret saying, James, I should have chose you, and he's nothing like you, and da-da-da-da-da, and I'm thinking, I was here, like, what happened? I was here, so it's like, really, like, so again, not every woman is like this. Some women are very feminine. They understand from the get-go which type of guy to choose. They're not goofing off with their time. They understand it. They're strategic. So it doesn't apply to every woman. The next point I would say is she doesn't really care about you. And what I mean by that is if you're on the phone with her, if you're spending time with her, whether it's dating or just trying to connect with her, it's really her sharing more of her life and her situations and her traumas. But when it comes to your situations, she's not really interested. She doesn't remember anything that you're talking about. And she doesn't really care. She's never following up. She's not showing interest. And I think this is another area that really hardens men when we realize that what we say don't matter. It doesn't really matter. It's almost like the only thing that matters is I'm a part of her world, but she's not necessarily a part of mine. This is something I'm very sensitive to. In fact, this is one of the reasons why I keep my answers very short when just people in general ask me questions about how am I doing. In my head, I'm thinking, you don't really care. So I'll keep it short. I may give them one sentence. And then I ask them, hey, how are you doing? Because I know they most likely just want to get to themselves anyway. So, I'll entertain that. Hey, I'll tell them a little something. And then, oh, how are you doing? And then they go into the whole spiel because that's really what they want to get into. And so I think a lot of us guys appreciate women that remember situations or things that we share with them. I remember I was talking to a lady months ago and I told her something about some plans or something I had to do, and then maybe a week or two later, she remembered and recited what I said, and I was very surprised. Like I genuinely was surprised because I was thinking like, oh, you actually care? Whoa, so I just I thought it was very interesting. But I think a lot of us guys, we appreciate actually being noticed. Yeah, a lot of us, we're not getting that type of attention that if we were compared to our female counterparts, maybe our age, and it's just different. A lot of people are more interested in the lives of ladies, in my opinion, especially when something is difficult happening versus a guy. People are usually like, hey man, good luck, I'll pray for you, and that's pretty much it. That's the last you hear from them until the situation is done. Number 10, I'm gonna say might be controversial, but I think it needs to be said. This is when a woman is deciding to choose you after she has been with her share of men experiences. She may even have picked up a lot more weight, and when she was younger and more fit, she was with the unqualified guys, and now that she's ready to settle down, now she's come to find you. Maybe she has children, maybe she just has a checkered past with dealing with questionable men, but she knows that you are the safe bet. She knows that you live by certain principles that she knows that would benefit her too, because you are a safe guy. You are somebody to be trusted. You are somebody that can love her and love her children possibly, and love her even if she's overweight or whatever. She knows that you will take care of her. She knows that. 100%. And the issue I think I have with this is that there are some cases for me personally that I was showing interest in someone maybe 10 years ago, 15 years ago, 20 years ago, and they were not interested. And as soon as, we started getting up in age, they realized that I have not destroyed my life, and I was exactly, and I've matured into, the man that I am today. And they realized, hey, there really was something to your quirkiness from, when you were young, James. Now they realize, hey, you're the safe bet. You're somebody that I can trust. I know that if I tell you intimate details about my life, you're not going to go broadcast it. You're not going to hurt me. You're not going to use those things to damage me. And, I want to be very clear. I'm not suggesting that a woman who is 30, 35 and up, now that she wants to be with you, now she's trying to give you some type of leftovers or something like that. I know that the red pill movement talks about that. I still believe everyone is made in the image of God. So, there's ladies that I would have loved to have dated, and they have children, and they're, my age, or, so I have no issue with that. It depends on the situation, but I'm talking specifically about women that knew that you were interested and they were aware of it and they rejected you, or maybe they didn't make time for you. And now later on they realize, oh, now you're the safe bet. And so I think that's something that a lot of us guys take very seriously and personal. I take it personal. I think it's almost insulting. It's like, why am I qualified now that your marriage or two, or your long-term relationship didn't work out? Why are you scratching on my door now when I would have loved to have had that opportunity 5, 10, 15, 20 years ago? Why am I qualified now? And so I think a lot of us guys, we go through a lot of these challenges, and I think sometimes people don't really think about this. They don't consider that there's a male perspective, and not all of us guys are gigolos and pimps and all this other stuff. There are a lot of guys that we're not going on dates. We don't have any action going on. There's no one blowing up our phone when it comes to romantic stuff. There are people that know that we have integrity. There's people that know that we are trustworthy, but those things are not always attractive to a postmodern world that is godless. People that only want to be Christian or religious on Sunday, but the rest of the week they're living like devils. There are a lot of women that they don't care about men with conservative values or men with dignity and respect and trustworthy. They don't care about those guys, and if they do, it's usually later on when all their other options have sort of run out. And so I have an issue with that, but I think every situation is different. Of course, there's variables to consider. So I'm not saying women that are older or useless or something like that. I would never say that, but I think there are different variables to consider. I just want to say thank you if you watched this. I was just ranting a little bit, but I wanted to kind of make this video because it's been on my mind for a while. I feel like it's something that needs to be shared. A lot of guys, we need, safe spaces that we can talk. And I don't want to have a space where I'm trying to put down women, but I do want to talk about areas that both men and women can work on. And as a man, I've experienced quite a bit of situations, and I feel like I didn't really sign up for a lot of that stuff, and I just got it anyway. So I just wanted to talk about it. But God bless you guys. Take care. Peace.